What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I am so excited about today's episode because we're going to be talking about crops you can still grow in September. This is something that I think everyone should be doing, and if you're not doing it, you're missing out. It's something that, as a gardener, I look at a month or a season, and I don't see it as necessarily a bad thing that winter is coming. I don't necessarily see it a bad thing that most of my summer garden is fading away. I see it as an opportunity. And if you turn negatives into positives, your life just absolutely changes. And so I'm gonna share with you the crops that you can still grow, because so many people worry about the crops they can't grow. Oh, I didn't plant tomatoes. Man, I'm so bummed. Well, don't worry about what you can't plant, because hindsight is obviously impossible to go back to. You could obviously see that, yeah, you might have had a great growing season for tomatoes, you just didn't get around to it, but you can't fix what you didn't already do. So focus on what you can do and make gardening so much more fun, because man, it's such an addicting hobby. It's such an incredible lifestyle, and it allows you to grow so much great food for your family. So join this journey with me. If you've not yet got a garden in, oh man, it's a fun day. So if you've not already started gardening and you got a garden in, you still got some time to grow some crops here. All right, so the first one I'm gonna start with, because not everyone's gonna be able to grow this one, but it's something that most people in the United States and the rest of the world that are south of where Michigan lies can grow this crop, and that's beans. Beans, whether bush beans or pole beans, only take about 45 to 50 days to mature. And the really nice thing is that they mature quicker if you can get them growing in warm weather rather than in cold weather into warm weather. Cold weather stunts growth. We all know that. That's why when you start your beans in the spring, they typically take 45 to 60 days to mature. Whereas when you're planting them in warm weather, growing into cold weather, they're gonna mature much quicker. It's the exact same reason why our squash matured about 10 days sooner than it normally would had you planted it in the spring. So exact same premise for the beans. They're gonna take about 45 to 50 days to mature. And so when you plant them in, say, Michigan, we have about 55 days left in our growing season, plenty enough time to at least get a couple harvests of beans before the frost kills them off. And again, this is a crop where you're not losing anything if you don't get a harvest. You're gonna plant some space and it might kill it off. You might have an early frost, but for me, beans are a crop that don't take any nutrients from the soil, and they actually give back to the soil if you turn them back under. So I just use them as a cover crop if I don't get anything. I'll just flip them into the soil, let the worms break them down, and it actually builds my soil, so I'm not even at a loss, even if I don't get any beans. So keep that one in mind, because that's a great one. The second crop that you can grow in September are radishes. Now, these are definitely the most go-to crop for most people because they mature super quickly and they don't take a whole lot of effort to grow. Radishes can take about 25 to 35 days to mature, so you got plenty of time to get these in the ground and growing. Plus, they love cold weather and they get sweeter during cold weather. So radishes are one that I really don't want you guys missing out on. The third crop is spinach. Spinach is obviously another kind of go-to fall and winter crop. It loves cold weather, it bolts in warm weather, so planting it right now is going to give you a lot of time for it to grow and mature, but it should be cool enough at night to where the plants don't bolt. Now, if you're still getting nights that are in the high 60s, low 70s, you don't want to grow this crop just yet. You want to wait until middle of September, maybe end of September, to get this crop growing, because it only takes about 30 to 45 days to mature. So you don't want to grow this crop too soon to where it matures during hot weather and then prematurely bolt. You want to get a nice long growing season. There's no need to rush this one. For us, we're starting our first harvest of spinach right now because our nights are in the low 50s. We have plenty of growing season left, but our nights are getting colder. If you're somewhere further south, like say, I don't know, Arkansas, where I know it's still in the 80s and 90s at times, you want to wait. Don't plant it right now, you'll regret it. So just kind of look at your nighttime temperatures. The daytime temperatures can be warmer as long as those nighttime temperatures kind of set the plant in a reset mode and kind of keep it from being too stressed. The nighttime temperatures mean way more than the daytime temperatures. The fourth crop you can still grow in September is mustard. Mustard greens are an awesome crop to grow because they are super spicy if you grow them in hot weather, and most people don't like them, but they get buttery, creamy, and rather sweet in cold weather. I absolutely love growing them as a fall and early winter crop because they can handle frost, they can handle freezes, they almost overwinter without a problem whatsoever, and they're a great addition to salads. They have a nice spicy kick to them, a nice peppery bite, but they're a wonderful textural addition. Mizuna Red Streaks is one of our favorites, but you can grow something like a Tokyo Bacana as well as like a Mabuna. Now these are more like Asian specialty greens, but let me tell you what, even though you might not know anything about these varieties, Mabuna and Tokyo Bacana are some of the crispest, most beautiful, lush mustard greens you're ever going to taste, and it probably will change your life when you taste them, because a lot of people get they hate mustard greens because how peppery and spicy they are. But if you grow these ones during cold weather where they mature slowly, wow, they will absolutely level up your salad game, and I love them. I've completely changed my my outlook on what a salad can be as soon as I started adding some of these more unique Asian mustard greens into my salads. So give those 3 a try. Those will definitely those will get you started for some mustard greens. But there's over 100 varieties of mustard greens out there, so you can definitely find one that suits you. And some are spicier than others, but mustard is a wonderful one to still grow in September. The 5th crop you can still grow in September is arugula. Now arugula, much like your mustard greens and your spinach, they will bolt if they're in really warm weather. So just like I told you to wait on your spinach and also your mustard, I guess, as well, these kind of leafy green crops, they are ones that you want to wait until the nighttime temperatures are in the low 60s to mid 50s or so before you plant them. Obviously colder the better. Obviously you don't want it to frost either, because then that'll pretty much just completely stunt them, but you want them to be colder. They don't like warm temperatures. If you're in the 60s, 70s, they're really going to start bolting quickly, and they're going to get peppery on you. Arugula is one that bolts super quickly, so if you're getting some nice warm weather, just wait until into the middle part or even end of September before you plant these, because they can handle some frost and freezes no problem, and they only take about 35 to 45 days to mature. So give them a try, and you're really, really going to love arugula. Now the 6th crop you can still grow in September is cilantro. We actually just seeded some cilantro here just about a couple days ago. I think it was Sunday. So yeah, 2 days ago, we put our cilantro here down, and cilantro is a crop that needs cold weather. Cilantro is not a summer crop. So whether it's in the spring or the fall, that is the time that you want to start sowing your cilantro seed. Now cilantro, it will bolt much like a lot of your early spring crops, like your spinach, your radishes, your mustard greens, things like that. It'll bolt if it's in any higher than about 60 degrees. So we plant this right now. That way it's up and maturing. It can take about a week to a week and a half to germinate, and that's why we planted it now, even though we typically would recommend holding off because it takes longer to germinate. Make sure to keep that in mind, that your maturity dates do not include your days to germination. So if you only have 45 days left in your growing season, and it takes, say, something like cilantro 10 to 12 days to germinate, you have to keep that in mind, that you add that to your maturity date. So I grow a crop like cilantro earlier than I would normally, so that way I have enough time left in my growing season. If I were to wait, say, to the end of September, cilantro can take about 30 to 45 days for it to mature. And if I only have 30 days left in my growing season, I'm cutting it way too close. So I'd much rather start it now, so that way, since I have about 55, maybe 60 days left in my growing season, I can still grow cilantro without a problem, and I can have a really long time when I can harvest it. So start it a little bit earlier than you would your spinach and your arugula and those other crops I mentioned, just because the spinach and arugula, they take almost no time at all to germinate, whereas the cilantro, it can take a tad bit more time. Now, just because I have kale growing here does not mean you can't start it and grow it in September. Kale is a crop that I recommend anyone start growing any time of the year. Kale is so cold hardy that you can almost overwinter it without any problem at all, even here in Michigan. We'll give it some protection, and just like our scarlet kale, which we have over there, we saved seeds from earlier in the year, our scarlet kale overwintered without any protection whatsoever. We just mulched it with a little bit of leaves at the base of the plant to protect the root system, and it survived one of the coldest winters on record. It was absolutely amazing. So kale is one that can definitely grow. Get it in your garden, even if you don't get a harvest from it. Try to keep it alive throughout winter, and then in the spring when it grows and everything melts, it's gonna start growing again, and you're gonna get a super early harvest in the spring. So kale is one that I always recommend growing, even if it's September. It can take 45 to 60 days to mature, but since kale is a leafy green, you can harvest it at any stage, even if it's just baby greens. So keep that in mind, that not everything has to be this tall for you to consider it mature. The next crop that is absolutely ideal for planting in September is peas. Peas are the 8th crop that you can grow here in September, and it's one that grows so easily because they love cool weather. Peas are a cool other crop if there's ever been one, because they fry and bake and don't produce well whatsoever in warm weather. Now the 9th crop you can grow in September is one that we don't have here yet, and that's because we still have to wait a little bit longer. But some of the northern states in the United States, you guys need to start planting this in early September, which is why I'm including this in this video. We typically wait until the end of September, even early October, but sometimes depending on how the season feels, this season's been a little bit more mild. I fear that we might have an early winter. Therefore, I'm gonna plant my garlic in late September instead of early October. You want about 30 days before your first frost date to get the garlic established and growing. So plant your garlic right now to get it growing if your frost comes within the next 30 days. Just keep that in mind. If your states that are further south, you're gonna wait, kind of the same thing with me. You're gonna wait with me until the end of September to plant your garlic. Now, if you're way further south, like Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, those kind of Gulf states, I wouldn't even recommend planting this crop until sometime around early to mid-October. So this one might not even apply to you guys down south, but just keep that in mind. 30 days is kind of that window that you want. So look on Google what your first frost date is, count back 30 days, and you gotta plant your garlic before then. MIgardener.com is gonna have over 8 varieties of heirloom garlic for you guys to choose from. We're getting them in stock tomorrow, so make sure you head over there and join the wait list if you have not yet already. We have a huge selection of organically grown and heirloom garlic, and it's absolutely incredibly priced because we want you guys to try growing garlic. It's the best thing you can possibly do. It tastes better, it produces better if you grow it yourself, and it lasts a whole lot longer. The shelf life is unbelievable, so give it a shot. You're gonna be happy you did. All right, and the 10th and final crop that you can still grow in September are bunching onions. Now, bunching onions are a wonderful crop and one that most people completely shy away from because they consider it an onion, but it's not really the same as a bulbing onion. Bunching onions, they mature in about 45 days, which is half or even more than half the time span that it takes for a regular bulbing onion to mature. So they mature much quicker, but also they're an allium, much like onions, shallots, garlic, or even chives, where if you forget to harvest or you don't harvest in time, they'll be there in the spring. They'll grow back, and you can still get a harvest even in the spring. So you're not at a loss if you don't get a harvest in the fall. If worst comes to worst, and you just want to harvest it, well, and you don't get a bulb, you'll still get leaves. These leaves are a wonderful chive substitute. They're extremely flavorful, very delicious in cooking, and like I said, they're a wonderful chive substitute. So use them, dry them even like an herb, and they're fine. Now, if worst comes to worst, and you just don't want to use them for the leaves, but you want to let them mature for the actual root or the bulb themselves, pull them up, and they transplant extremely well. These are onions, so they're almost impossible to kill. You can move them into a windowsill. They don't even really need that much light to grow, and they're going to grow and mature for you even in a windowsill. So, like I said, you have so many options if things go south and you have an impending frost coming and you're freaking out as a gardener thinking, I'm not going to get something out of this crop. You know, Luke just steered me wrong here by telling me to grow this, and now I think I'm going to get blasted with this early frost. Just pull it inside if you're that worried, and it's going to do great for you. Now, I do grow the Tokyo long bunching onion because they're earlier maturing and they're just one that we've found to grow really well. But there's so many options available for you as far as bunching onions go. So find one that works for you. Find one that grows well for you in your area. But I can safely tell you that this is one of our favorite varieties and one that really is just a tried and true winner for us. So Tokyo long bunching onion is the 10th crop that you can still grow in September. It's a wonderful one to add to your garden space, and it doesn't take up that much space either. You know, we throw these seeds kind of just anywhere. This is our pepper bed, and we just kind of threw these plants here because we said, well, there's nothing else growing here, so might as well put some food on our family's plate with the remaining space. And that's really what we've done. So, and they've done awesome so far. And we're gonna plant another succession right after this video over in our bed over there. So that way we have a really good succession of bunching onions to harvest from. So there you go. There are 10 crops you can still grow in September. I hope you guys will plant at least some of these ones. Let me know in the comments box below if there's any ones that I've missed. I'd be happy to know. I'm sure there probably are some unique ones that I've missed, but these are the kind of main ones and the big ones that we're still planting here in September. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. If you've not yet subscribed, now would be a good time to do that. And also, if you've not yet shared our videos with a friend, make sure to share this one. I'm sure they'll appreciate it, and hopefully it'll help them grow a garden. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. And as always, we'll catch you all tomorrow.